EastEnders shocker. Suki Panesar offers to raise Avani's baby in emotional pregnancy twist. EastEnders has delivered yet another emotionally charged and unexpected twist in its ongoing teenage pregnancy storyline, as Suki Panesar makes a life-altering offer to her step-granddaughter Avani Nandra Hart. In Thursday's dramatic episode, the 24th of July, fans witnessed Suki caught in the middle of family loyalty, cultural values, and personal redemption as she proposed to raise Avani's unborn child as her own, a decision that could redefine several key relationships in Walford. The storyline, which has been slowly unfolding over the past few weeks, took a major turn this week with revelations, moral dilemmas, and emotional reckonings. What began as a secret shared only between two teenagers, Avani and Barney Mitchell, is now threatening to ripple through the entire Panesar family, especially as Suki finds herself once again at the center of a crisis that challenges her identity, beliefs, and instincts as a matriarch. Avani's secret comes to light. Avani Nandra Hart's pregnancy was first confirmed earlier this week, shocking viewers and setting up a complex arc that explores the pressures young people face when making life-altering decisions in silence. Avani, overwhelmed and unsure, had confided in only one person, her close friend Barney Mitchell. Barney, ever loyal, had promised to keep her secret. Together, the two teens made a pact to support each other through the uncertainty, with Avani firmly stating her desire to keep the news from her parents, Nish and Priya. But secrets rarely stay buried in Albert Square. In a moment of panic, Avani was caught searching abortion clinics online, by none other than her sharp-eyed step-grandmother, Suki Panesar. And with that, the truth began to unravel. Suki's confrontation and moral conflict. Suki's discovery led to a tense confrontation. Avani, caught off guard and anxious, confessed her intentions. She wanted an abortion, and she wanted it quickly, before her parents ever found out. Suki, known for her icy control and strategic mind, was visibly shaken. But instead of reacting with anger or judgment, she paused, a rare moment of compassion and internal conflict flickering across her face. "You have time," Suki said softly, her voice firm but not unkind. "Don't rush this decision." The moment marked a subtle but crucial shift in Suki's character. Once a woman who kept her emotions under lock and key, Suki is beginning to show a more complex, nurturing side, albeit one that's still tangled in her past traumas, fractured relationships, and religious values. A spiritual search for answers. Unable to shake her sense of responsibility, Suki turned to an unexpected place for clarity, the local Gurdwara. In a rare private moment, she met with the Granthi, the Sikh religious leader, seeking guidance. Though the details of their conversation weren't fully shown, it was clear that Suki was grappling with deep emotional and spiritual conflict. "How do I do what's right?" she asked quietly, "when I don't know what that is anymore?" Her concerns weren't just about the pregnancy, they were also about how she'd handled Vinny's impending move, her strained marriage to Eve, and her fractured sense of self-worth. The Granthi's words weren't prescriptive, but they gave Suki something she hadn't allowed herself in a long time, Jean Slater's unexpected influence. Later, Suki ran into Jean Slater, a character who knows all too well about teenage pregnancies and unconventional family setups. Jean opened up about her granddaughter Lily, who became a mother at just 13. "Was it hard?" "Of course," Jean said, matter-of-factly. "But I look at that little baby and I see nothing but joy." "Would we change it?" "Never." Suki listened closely. The conversation planted a seed. Perhaps this pregnancy didn't have to be a tragedy. Perhaps, just perhaps, it could be a new beginning. Tensions with Eve finally boil over. Meanwhile, Suki's marriage to Eve Onwin continued to falter. The tension between the two had been growing steadily in recent weeks, with Suki retreating emotionally and Eve struggling to understand the reasons why. In an emotionally charged scene, Suki finally admitted that she'd been distant not because of their relationship, but because of everything else falling apart, especially Vinny's upcoming departure from Walford. "I've made mistakes," Suki confessed. "But I've never stopped trying to protect this family. I don't always get it right. But that's what I do. I protect." Eve, clearly still hurt, replied, "You're a warrior, Suki. But even warriors have to let people in." The two shared a fragile but heartfelt moment of reconnection, though it was clear that Suki was still holding back, torn between duty and desire, truth and strategy. The big decision. Later that evening, Suki waited for Avani to return home. The tension in the air was palpable. When Avani walked through the door, Suki got straight to the point. "I've been thinking," she began slowly. "About what you said. About your decision." Avani, defensive and nervous, reiterated her stance. "I'm not ready to be a mom." I don't want this. Not now. Suki nodded. I understand. And I respect your honesty. But I can't support you going through with an abortion. The air froze. What? Avani asked, stunned. I can't support it, Suki repeated. But I can support you, and this child, another way. Then came the proposal that no one saw coming. I'll raise the baby, Suki said. As my own. You can go back to your life. You don't have to tell anyone. I'll take care of everything. Avani's dilemma. The proposal left Avani speechless. You want to raise my baby? She asked in disbelief. Suki nodded again, her voice calm but resolute. You don't have to carry this alone. I can give this child a life. A home. Stability. And you can still be you. But for Avani, things weren't so simple. This wasn't just about giving up a baby, it was about identity, guilt, and trust. Her eyes welled with tears as she said, I don't know if I could live with that. Knowing my child is out there, with someone else. It wouldn't be someone else, Suki replied gently. It would be me. The fallout to come. The conversation ended with no firm decision, but the stakes were clearly laid out. Suki's offer wasn't just an act of kindness. It was a plea for redemption, a chance to do something right after years of emotional mistakes. But it also came with risk, of alienating Eve, of reigniting tensions with Avani's parents, and of bringing old secrets back to the surface. The episode ended on a quiet but powerful note, with Avani sitting alone in her bedroom, staring at her reflection. A teenager caught between childhood and motherhood, between choice and consequence. Will Suki consult Eve before acting? A major question now hangs over the storyline. Will Suki go behind Eve's back again, or will she finally learn to share the burden? Eve, still fragile after Suki's emotional distance, may not take kindly to such a significant decision being made without her input. And with Eve's fierce sense of justice and equality, she may question whether Suki's offer is truly about love, or about control. Cultural tensions and moral complexity. One of the most compelling aspects of this storyline is its emotional and cultural nuance. Suki's background, her faith, and her role as a matriarch all come into play here. Her instinct is to preserve the family, at any cost, but in doing so, is she denying Avani agency over her own body? The tension between traditional values and modern realities is palpable, and EastEnders deserves credit for tackling this storyline with such layered complexity. What's next? The future remains uncertain for everyone involved. Will Avani accept Suki's offer? Will she change her mind and choose to parent the baby herself? Will Eve stand by Suki's decision, or will this drive a final wedge between them? And what happens if the truth comes out to Avani's parents? One thing is certain. This storyline is far from over. With stellar performances, emotional depth, and moral tension, EastEnders has delivered one of its most compelling pregnancy plots in recent years. Stay tuned, because in Albert Square, no secret stays buried for long.